Hey, what's going on? We are back with the Draft Jam. This is week 4. If you remember or if you saw last week, we took a very frustrating loss. We were very unlucky. We were still able to make it very close, but we ended up not being able to walk away with a W. One of the main takeaways that I had taken from that game is just that I've been getting a bit too cute, a bit too flashy in the builder. When I play Wi-Fi more than Showdown, I'm kind of able to bring like some cooked up, some saucy sets. The wins end up looking a lot cooler on the console. I can say that much. But in this case, like among other things, like pretty horrendous luck. Among other things, I would say I got burned by my build being a bit too flashy. So, tone that we're gonna take to this week is just really handling business, bringing the best sets. We're playing Aimel, who in his own right has a reputation for being a bit flashy in the way that I was just describing. So we can talk about like the general ways that we expect Pokemon to be used in the matchup, but Aimel is a bit more out of the box. His strategy kind of relies on the idea that you're not going to really know what he's doing until the moment comes. So we're going to have to keep that in mind. That being said, I think I'm just going to go ahead and start discussing the matchup. So first, the first round pick that you got was the Tera Blaziken. I feel like that's one of the Teras. I don't want to say it's like underrated. Well, I mean maybe it is. I wouldn't say it was overlooked in this format. In the idea that like, oh, it should have actually been banned and it slipped through the cracks. I don't think that. But I do think like it has really huge upside in this matchup. I was thinking of taking it myself in the first round if it came to me. Obviously, it did not. I had a later pick, and Aimel was earlier than me. That's how that works. So we ended up getting the Tera Blaziken. This thing is really fucking strong. That's just a fact of the matter. As is Speed Boost Blaze, like with SD and those two stabs, extremely strong. Hits a lot of things for neutral or super effective. And it was essentially banned for a long time through our competitive history on that basis. Now we introduce Tera, which means basically if among the few things that those two stabs aren't going to hit, in addition to the already decent coverage it has, it's going to get a Tera for basically whatever it needs in the matchup. And it's also going to be able to use a Tera defensively, not as a defensive Pokemon, but that's so it can get itself a very safe Swords Dance. So this guy, we can assume that he's going to have a way to hit everything and have a way to get an SD off without dying. Because obviously, without like the ideal type resistance, Blaziken is naturally very frail, so it's kind of like what it needs to afford the setup opportunities in a lot of cases. So with that in mind, though, I do have possibly one of the best or the best Blaziken checks that you can have in all of Pokemon. Well, I would say all of Pokemon, because there is like Tapu Fini, but Tapu Fini doesn't exist in this format. So the next best thing is Azumarill. Azumarill, it is weak to coverage T-Punch, but generally speaking, it's neutral to most of the coverage that Blaziken has, and it resists both stabs. So similar to the Quaquaval situation that I talked about in week 2, because that's another Pokemon that Azumarill walls its stabs. We can safely assume, in theory, that Blaziken is going to be a Tera type that's going to circumvent Azumarill in some way. He's not going to load up Blaziken, knowing that without Tera, it's walled by Azumarill, and then be a Tera that's walled by Azumarill. This is not happening, all right? So immediately with that in mind, it narrows down the Tera types that he could be. So so we can say it's probably not going to be fire unless his plan literally is to just blow through Azumarill. I wouldn't advise that. I think like if we're just a regular helmet set, Azumarill has a lot of natural HP bulk too, so that's like a disaster if we're helmet. So I don't think that's likely. You could say that fighting is possible for like a similar strategy, but it is weak to G-King, so I don't know how likely that is either. Once we get past there, we have Poison, we have Electric. He's not going to be Grass because of the Sap Sipper, which I brought 2 weeks in a row at this point. And so I say like right on the bat, the first thing we should be thinking about are like Poison and Electric, and I think Electric is a lot more likely than Poison because, well, I guess this kind of takes me to the next train of thought. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the next train of thought is if he's prioritizing Azumarill, one thing he understands, one because it's just like kind of how building and matchups work, but also because I've literally done this before in the Tony game. he understands that the defensive core of Azumarill and Slowking together in relation to things like Aqua Ball, things like Blaziken, whatever type that Azumarill can force Blaziken into, I can then slide Slowking in, and it will be that Tera type. So the second layer is like, yeah, I think ultimately like the most straightforward Tera that he could be is Electric. The meta next level analysis is that if he's wants to prep for the second layer of that, which is that the G-King then gets slid in to actually check the Blaziken, then there are a couple more options. We could think about what types are going to be Slowking. Let's just think about like what's super effective. So we have Ground, we have Ghost, we have Dark. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it, because it does have Flare Blitz. It's neutral, but it hits G-King very hard. So we could look at like defensive or offensively, like what's Slowking super effective, and it's those three. We could also think of like what types Slowking doesn't hit very well, of which I can only think of one, which would be Steel. Steel resists both its stabs, which would be like so it's Poison and Psychic. I think it's just Steel. Is that right? So yeah, we get to Steel, and you can imagine like if I were to run like coverage Flamethrower, maybe to hit Iron Crown, and that ends up being my move to hit Blaziken, he could be like weakness policy Steel. That just as an example. So going back to the offensive types, we got the Ground, the Dark, and the Ghost. Two of those right off the bat lose to Azumarill. So Ground and Dark, I just don't think are happening. So that leaves Ghost. So with that in mind, I see Blaziken as being essentially 3 different possible Tera types in this matchup, based on the very obvious presence of Azumarill and how that checks Blaziken, and then also like the other things that I could do or historically have done to Teras that are trying to get around Azumarill, which is slide in Galarian. So the most straightforward one is Electric, and then I would imagine if he wants to run a Blaziken that's going to be able to swap or to take a hit from Slowking, to not necessarily hit it super effectively, but take a hit from it very comfortably and set up on it, then I think he'll be Steel. If he wants to be a typing that's not necessarily weak to Azumarill and then hits Slowking super effectively, then I think he'll be Ghost. But Electric, Steel, Ghost, those are the types that I'm thinking. And I will know right off the bat what kind of set he is and what he intends to do with that set based on the type. And not because like I'm a genius, but because it's pretty clear when I look at it, like the rationales for these 3 types are very distinct in a way that like is not the case for other Teras. When you're in a regular Tera matchup, it's like, oh well, there are like a few different offensive types that are super effective into XYZ, so he could be any of those. And like the rationale for each of them, each different type is like pretty similar. Whereas in this case, like Electric, Steel, and Ghost, they're all possible but very distinct rationales for why you would bring each of them. So I think that fortunately in this matchup, I will actually have good information on I'll be able to glean good information on Blaziken's set right at Team Preview, which is very nice for me given how threatening that Pokemon is. I spent a ton of time with Blaziken, but Blaziken honestly in this matchup like is kind of most of it. Blaziken itself is most of the matchup, managing Blaziken, in part because like it's so threatening on its own, but also like in relation to the other Pokemon he has. I don't think his team in general is that strong into me, which we'll get into, because the next Pokemon is Latios, which I think my team is extremely hostile to Latios. There's a Tinglu, there's a Slowking, I have the faster Cyclizar check, any AV or Spidef Annihilate will check it, which there are several different sets I could be. He has really no way of foreseeing that, I don't think. Scarf Kyurem, there's the presence of First Impression Slitherwing. There is, Resist Berry in Amherst Tea, or really just like Boots in Amherst Tea that's bulky. It's always going to live one from Lottie and KO back. A Spidef or an AV Azumarill, probably AV would be better in this case because like it would be able to do more damage. But then there's I guess the Bronzong, which doesn't necessarily hit hard back. Maybe Gyro can get a 2-hit KO, but I'm not really sure. But there's also the Thundurus, which is faster and checks with knockoff. So I would say like there's a lot of reason to not bring Lottie. At the end of the day, like Lottie is so good in its own right. It is his round 2 Pokemon, so I would never say that like it's impossible that he's bringing Lottie. I wouldn't even say it's under 50% that he's bringing Lottie. Like, I'd say Lottie probably comes more likely than not, just off the basis of it being a Latios. But I don't think that Latios is very good into me. And I don't think that he will think that either, frankly. I think that he's going to be a set that's kind of like being an agitating kind of set. It could be screens, it could be trick choice into Tinglu or something like that. And I guess even further than that, it could be some really weird, very contrived, like setup lure, weirdo stuff, like weakness policies, something with the screen. I don't know. I think, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, I think Latios is kind of a blank, like an empty box that a lot of weird creativity is liable to get fit into, because traditional Lottie sets are extremely bad against me. So I think like Latios might come on the merit of it just being a good Pokemon. But what that Lottie ends up looking like, I think it's one of the prime examples of Pokemon that Aimel might do something very weird too in a matchup like this. But yeah, that being said, like, I have a lot of checks to it. Ogerpon Wellspring, it's really a tough day to be an Ogerpon Wellspring, and not only against this matchup but against me specifically, because like I have just ran 2 Sapsipper Azus in a row, so I have shown that I'm willing to do it, and I've shown that I made it work every time. Ogerpon Wellspring is no exception. It has literally no move to hit a Azumarill if it is Sapsipper. So that being said, like, I expect that otherwise, like, it's not that bad offensively. It will need low kick or play rough to hit the Kyurem. I expect probably play rough between the two. Well, I was gonna say play rough between the two because Cyclizar, but low kick's super effective on that too. I don't know how heavy Cyclizar is off the top of my head, but if it does enough damage, then I think he'll do low kick. Well, play rough. I was gonna say play rough also hits the Slitherwing, but I guess he has cudgel for that. So yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know how much low kick does to Cyclizar. If it does enough, then he'll probably low kick. If not, play rough. But these stabs are terrible here. So with that in mind, I feel pretty comfortable saying that if Ogerpon comes, it's probably Spike's lead. I just think that's going to be the best Ogerpon in the matchup. I don't think I would go even further. I don't think other Ogerpons are even good. I think it's also a hostile matchup for Ogerpon. Even if he had all the right moves and I was a Sapsipper, he's not breaking Slowking Galar very well without SDing. I don't know how he gets a free SD. There's a presence of First Impression Slithering. Again, got to keep that in check. Slitherrush outspeeds it super effectively with Sludge Wave. There is the Freeze Dry Kyurem with Scarf, or it just naturally lives any hit from Ogerpon too. So, yeah, I think offensively Ogerpon Wellspring is very bad. I think Spikes, like a Spike set, is going to be pretty good. It will open up the Blaziken very well, and that I feel safe to say that if Ogerpon comes, it's Spikes. It's probably even Spike's lead. Now when we get into Diancie, Diancie is pretty much perma jail ball walled by Slowking G. But that being said, like, it's not a bad rocker here, just because my only remover is weak to Diancie. So, but the thing is, like, I don't actually care about rocks on my team. I always explicitly draft in a way where I don't have to care about rocks. I do that pretty much on purpose. I've been willing and comfortable to either lead the Rock Speed guy with no intention of switching in, just going for damage and then dying on the way out with Thundurus, or just running boots or boots on everything. So it's not that Diancie is a bad rocker here, but there's no reason to assume that rocks are ever going to be like a huge return on me. So given that Diancie is very lame offensively, there's the Bronzong, which it will never in a million years touch. It is checked by Tinglu, despite hitting it super effectively, checked by Azu. It's not hitting Slowking G much either. Thundurus gets Flash Cannon. Annihilate could be all sorts of different sets that beat Diancie. I don't expect Diancie to come either, but I mean, I guess it's possible. If he has a game plan that's like really hazard centric, then I guess it's possible. Where like he's really just like, all right, Diancie rocks, it can die, it's worth it. Ogerpon, Spike, and then he's gonna win like a 6v4 if he has like maxed out hazards, and then he's banking on me not being Cyclizar. I guess there's a world where this happens, but I'm not holding my breath for it. Next we have regular Ursaluna. This guy is really strong. Fortunately, I have one of the few Pokemon that can really eat from it, and that's Bronzong. Which it's funny that it's paying huge returns that I even took this in the first place, because I wasn't going to. If you watch the original live draft. I wasn't going to, but Bronzong has had a very clutch defensive application in these matchups, and having a guy that's going to just eat from Ursaluna. Because if you look at my team, not only is there really nothing else that switches that well into Ursaluna, but there are a lot of things that don't hit it that hard, so it can swap in. Like if it's like a bulky set, it can swap in on a lot of guys too. Now obviously there's the Kyurem, there's the Grass Knot Thundurus, there's Grass Knot Enamorous as well, which is naturally slower, but if he's no speed Ursaluna, then what difference does it make? But other than that, like the other guys, we're talking about 7 out of the 10, well 6 out of the 10 that Ursaluna can safely swap into. And then it gets like a free hit, a free play basically. So if not for Bronzong, I think Ursaluna would have been very good. But given that I have a Bronzong, I think this is another set that's like not that good. So yeah, like as you can see, like this is why I said like this matchup really is just about Blaziken because like everything else is bad. Iron Crown. This is a tough day to beat Iron Crown because there's a Glare King and a Tinglu. So that's also quite difficult. Now it's not to say that there aren't sets that can get around this, or there aren't game plans that can get around this, like remove Tinglu, open up Iron Crown. Like it's not like that's not possible. But I feel confident in my ability to beat that. I feel confident in my ability to snuff that type of game plan out before it can get off. That being said, I mean Iron Crown is probably gonna be Tachyon Cutter and Focus Blast. That sort of hits everything. There is the Bronzong. But it's mostly going to take advantage of the fact that Bronzong can't hit it back. Actually, Earthquake might do a little bit. But yeah, it's really it's gonna need to move for Thundurus, so it's gonna be it's gonna be a Psychic move too. If it needs all 3 attacks, which I think it does, that immediately kind of makes it complicated because it's gonna take the ability for him to be Dual Dance off the table, and that's really the main way that he's gonna be able to get anything done against me. So another matchup that I think is hostile for Iron Crown. I think we're liable to see any of the traditional setup sets, or even AV, or even, well, I don't know about AV. Yeah, actually, maybe it could be just an AV swap into Kyurem. I think that's not unreasonable. Yeah, that probably is what it will be. Now that I look at it, because like another guy that's like not great offensively, but that is like as an AV mon, like that is a role it can do reliably. You probably go Crown on Kyurem and then you just Rip Focus Blast because it's going to cover Tinglu every time. It's not going to kill Tinglu. It's probably not going to 2 KO Tinglu. But that's like a way you can get consistent damage, and then you Volt Switch on everything else is probably how that would go. If G King ends up being the swap into Iron Crown, that's unfortunate from his perspective, but and I'm talking about AV Iron Crown specifically. But I think that's actually probably the most likely. Is it'll just be a regular AV. At the end of the day, these guys run all sorts of like, the dual dance, the weakness policies, and all that. So we're going to have to be mindful of that, but it's not something I'm terribly worried about. Next, we have Hisui Quillfish. This thing is actually really annoying because with Eviolite, these like Quillfish Hisui is like really good. It can spike on a lot of things. Many or even most Pokemon that even hit it super effectively. Like not only don't 2 KO, but like I think I was doing calcs and like Earth Power Kyurem just like 30 or like something appalling like that. And we're talking about Pokemon with the absolute perfect typing to swap in on Slowking and use that as an opportunity to get up a spike. So even in the world where G King gets my swap into Crown, he does have like a very consistent, very good play into that every time. One thing he has to be mindful of is being Intimidate versus my Define and Annihilate, so probably a Poison Point. But which is good for me. Well, actually, I was gonna say it's good for me. Actually, I don't care because looking at my other Pokemon, if like my physical Pokemon's Annihilate, and I guess to a lesser extent Slitherwing, everything else is defensive or special. So actually, I guess I don't care if he's Poison Point. But I do expect this to be a guy who plans to swap in on Slowking, get up a spike, and that's that. I don't see other Pokemon that are. I guess if I brought the Slitherwing, as like it's another Pokemon that can eat first impression. If it was like you swap out a Lottie, you swap out an Ogerpon, and you go Quillfish, get up a spike. I think that's all also possible. It's also if I'm similar to Iron Crown, if I'm one of these funky like agility like dual dance policy enamorous stuff like something similar to what I brought last week. Quillfish is also going to snuff that out. It can attack straight into that because it even lives at +2 Earth Power, but it can also haze. So I also think it retains Debon like a Johto Quillfish, but I'm not positive on that. Actually, no, yeah, it definitely has Debon. So, yeah, I think this is another. There's another like really. It's like a good defensive piece with good defensive sequences that I can imagine, but around an offense that kind of feels like anemic against me. Honestly, like it's pretty difficult. Next we have the Tera Suicune. This is also tough because there are so many ways I can be CM sets. In addition to like being Sap Set the last 2 weeks, I've also been Parasong 2 weeks. I've been Encore, and I'm talking about Zoomerl here. So like a long-term CM Kun that's like not gonna, hit me that well. Like the problem is, again, you could be Poison or Electric to hit the Azumarill, but then you're gonna lose to Tinglu or Slowking. So it's gonna be hard to get CM going as well. And there's also Yawn Slowking, which I brought. There's Whirlwind Tinglu, which can very happily take a +1 Scald and swap. I mean, if I get burned, I get burned. It's kind of unfortunate, but whatever. Even then, this thing doesn't get moves for Kyurem. So like Kyurem is probably going to be able to at minimum, roar it out. So I think Suicune's having a hard time too. And like when I look at the other Pokemon, it's not like it's particularly great defensively into anything. It's not going to be Kyurem. It's not going to be Thundurus. Annihilate can almost certainly get around it. Annihilate also has Encore, which I haven't ran, as you can see on the screen. I don't have. But I guess what I'm saying is like offensively it's not good, and Suicune shouldn't expect to check anything defensively either. So yeah, I mean it wouldn't surprise me if Suicune doesn't come at all. I actually probably think, now that I think about it, I probably don't think it does either. If I were to guess, I think we're going to see Blaziken, Lottie, Ogerpon, Ursaluna, Iron Crown, Quillfish. I think that's the 6 that we're going to see. And that's not a 6 that I'm worried about either. Again, it's really just this Blaziken. That's really the only thing. The whole matchup is just Blaziken, really. After that is Tornadus. Tornadus is kind of interesting because it actually does have the tools to get around some of my main the main things I want to play against, like Tinglu, Slowking. I wouldn't say it totally gets around them, but it has stuff. It has the coverage too. It has the setup. It has the means. I wouldn't say this is a Pokemon that can reliably beat them or should expect to, but in a world where you whittle those down and you remove them, and I guess what I'm saying is Tornadus is a Pokemon that can be opened up for in a way that I think is even less true for Iron Crown, for example. So I think Tornadus is actually kind of a sleeper in this matchup. Not that it's good, but that it's reasonably viable compared to other things. Like I do expect a matchup like this is a prime situation where Aimel's going to feel like he has to get flashy, get creative, and dig deep in the bag, because the conventional way a lot of these Pokemon are used are just really bad into my draft. So I would say yeah, I'm worried about Blaziken, but this matchup favors me quite a lot. I mean, you probably saw I glossed over. I ignored the Rabska. I don't care about that thing. We don't have to talk about it. It gets Revival Blessing, whatever. I don't care. But yeah. As you see, I go through all this. Like, it's really just like the Blaziken that I'm worried about. I can see the Blaziken running away with the game under the right conditions. Everything else, I think, is frankly kind of bad into me. So, all things considered, and this was also the case with like the mocks that I got. I think this matchup is very good for me. Like I've said a million times at this point. Like, he has a path. He has a path with Blaziken. And I expect him to put all the eggs in the Blaziken basket, because I really don't know what else you do. But yeah, I think we're probably pretty primed for a good bounce back week. So with that being said, I'm gonna pull up. Okay. So here's the team that we put together. I'm gonna start with the. Let's start with the Bronzong. The Bronzong is not the lead, but it is pretty simple. This is a set that's just gonna take down Ursaluna. I'm trying to remember the EVs. This is just this is like roughly like a max physically defensive set. This 56 I think is left. I think the 60 is left over. 240 HP, 208 defense. I think it takes 2 adamant fire punches from Ursaluna. I think if it's guts, we take 2 facades. I think even max if it's guts, guts burn fire punch. I think Bronzong is really just about trading for damage. I don't think there's anything we can do about that. I think like Max still gets to a KO. And obviously you can't be heat proof. It's an Ursaluna. But yeah, if it's some other set, like I think Resist Berry or AV are very likely as like lures for Kyurem and Thundurus. I think that's probably most likely. And if it's one of those sets, is like 252 Spadef and then like max attack. I think like that type of spread, this Bronzong eats very well from with this spread especially. Earthquake is really all we need. It's going to hit the crown. It's going to hit the Quillfish. Less relevant, it hits the Diancie, and I guess it hits the non-Tera Blaziken, but I'm not really talking about those. Body Press will hit the Ursaluna, not for that much, but it is something. But really, like, I can see a world where, like, ID Press, let's say Blaziken is down. I can see, like, Iron Defense Press, honestly, like, has a way to win. If Blaziken is down, Latios either doesn't come or is down. Everything else is neutral to press, and there isn't like great ways to damage Bronzong altogether. So I have Iron Defense and like press just as like, you know, it's just there just in case, like just to give myself another win path if I need it. But really, like, this is something that's just going to absorb damage from Ursaluna, get helmets off, throw rocks up. That's really all we're doing here. Next we have Kyurem. This is the lead. Dragon Dance, Freeze Dry, Earth Power, Light Screen, Weakness Policy. Trying to remember what exactly this HP and defense is for. I think these are both Ogerpon calcs, if I remember correctly. I think it's low kick and play rough. I think are the two calcs I did, or the two like moves I'm considering. They're rounded to rocks. I think they might do like. I think play rough might be under 75 from adamant or something like that. I know the low kick high roll is like 85, so that's. Yeah, the idea here is like if it's going to lead, then rocks aren't going to be up. But if there's a world where I'm forced out, then I'd like to be able to swap back in, and maybe in a worst case, swap back in on rocks. This is only in a world where Diancie comes, because it's a rocker, but you get what I'm trying to say. But yeah, like we're leading. I expect the main leads to be Quillfish or Ogerpon. Quillfish just doesn't even really touch us that well outside of like being toxic. We're probably just going to Earth Power into that a few times. When it comes to Ogerpon, I mean, low kick and play rough can hit us super effectively. They'll do decent damage if he's max tag adamant. He can be max tag adamant. I'm expecting like I guess like bulky lead spikes as possible, but he can be like nearly max because Ogerpon 222 speed hits 319, which outspeeds max speed Kyurem. So we do have to calc against like max tag adamant. But the idea here is like I'm going to Dragon Dance to get the speed boost on everything, and then the investment I have for special attack, the +2 Earth Power just drops Iron Crown. Freeze Dry obviously kills Ogerpon, kills Latios, kills Ursaluna. I will have to Earth Power a few times into Quillfish, but it can't kill me back. It can't even come close. Suicune also will just drop the Freeze Dry. It'll have to Tera to avoid that. But the idea here is like I'm pretty much guaranteed versus the main leads that I expect. I'm guaranteed a speed boost, and in the case of Ogerpon, I'm likely guaranteed a weakness policy boost as well. One play that he can make is going hard Kyurem, or not hard Kyurem, hard Iron Crown. In this hypothetical, I've Dragon Dance to get a speed boost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up a light screen. And so when he Tachyon cutters me, the max roll on, I think max special attack, it might be max special attack booster special attack. That max roll is only 57. So we're going to live that comfortably. We're going to get our policy popped, and then we're going to be able to KO the Iron Crown immediately. We're going to be in really good shape if that happens. There's a world where this Kyurem can win immediately off lead. Like, that world is very possible. But that's the concept with the set. I have basically a safe play into every possible lead, just about. I think Diancie lead might be the main one that's kind of annoying. I guess actually I could just lead light screen on Diancie. I think that's actually possible, because he'll probably rock first. So then like I light screen and then I just Earth Power into it a few times. Maybe I DD on one of those. But yeah, now that I think about it, I think maybe I probably switch out of Ursaluna, because if he's leading Ursaluna, he's probably intentionally trying to catch like a lead Kyurem by being like AV or Yachi. I probably swap out a lead Latios, because that thing can just outspeed me and Draco. But everything else, I have like very good. Like there are many very good, very likely, and very reliable paths where I just lead Kyurem, DD, and win, or out or win or get like 2 or 3 kills. And in either case, like I'm really far ahead. So this is a set, and this has been tested in mocks. It works very reliably. I do expect it to work in the game. So that's that. This speed is for max speed Adamant Blaziken. I think he'll actually be less than that. I think he'll be something like this, because 251 times, like 251 after 1 speed boost outspeeds Cyclozar, which is the fastest Pokemon I have. But I'm 260 just to be safe, to cover if he's like just, I don't know, maybe he doesn't have a lot of time and lazily EVs. Maybe that's possible. That will make or break the set, so why chance it? You know what I mean? Next we have the Annihilate, which is Choice Scarf. This is a nice and simple Annihilate instead of the contrived sunny day bullshit that I ran last week. But if you look, just a simple Choice Scarf fighting absolutely obliterates the entire team. I think it even 2-hit KOs Latios outright, unless he's bulky. But I mean, I can U-turn on that pretty safely. The attack investment I have, that's all I need to 2-hit KO max HP Suicune with 2 CCs. So the idea here is like, not only is this good, it's a good revenge killer just by being a faster Scarf, but it's also a breaker. There's really nothing here that can avoid a 2-hit KO. And then also it outspeeds, like it's the same speed as Kyurem, so it outspeeds Blaziken after a speed boost. So he's gonna have to get 2 speed boosts, not just 1, to get around this Annihilate. So it's like a good secondary reinforcement for the Blaziken, which again is really my main priority here in this matchup. I'm Phantom Force, like really with this, like I'm bulky enough to take some hits. So there's a world where I swap in, take a hit reliably, like maybe a Cudgel from Ogre Point or whatever. And that's like a way that I can boost my Rage Fist. And then if Ursaluna's down, then Rage Fist also hits everything pretty hard. So I have 2 different paths with Scarf. But between like close combat, U-turn, and Rage Fist, I hit everything. I was going through the set, like I can't even like think of what else I would need. So I picked Phantom Force for a very unique situation where if it is Blaziken versus Annihilate, let's say Blaziken is in on a Pokemon that it's naturally faster than, so it doesn't have to protect. It clicks a move and goes for a kill and then gets a speed boost. If I go Annihilate, it can protect the next turn and get faster than my Annihilate. However, if I Phantom Force, the way Phantom Force works is it's a 2-turn attack, but you disappear turn 1 and hit turn 2, but you hit through Protect, which is nice. Then I'm basically guaranteed a hit. I'm guaranteed a hit on the Blaziken, and it will do a lot. The Phantom Force doesn't kill unless he's literally Ghost. If he's Ghost, I'm almost certain it will kill. But if he's taking damage from my Enamorus or whatever, then Phantom Force will get me the rest of the way. But that's like an extremely niche little thing. For the most part, I do expect to just CC everything right through the face. Maybe a rare U-turn, but I do plan to just get in and click a button with this thing. Yeah, I think I told you what the attack is. So yeah, this is the spread there. I forgot exactly why I split the HP and defense this way. Trying to think if it's a Flare Blitz calc or an Ivy Cudgel calc, but I do not remember. But it's one of those. Next we have Tinglu. This thing is really just an Iron Crown Destroyer. There's a world where it pivots in on Latios as well if it comes. I think it can do both. I think even in a world where Latios tricks it as Scarf, it can do both. Just because it can Throat Chop Lati, it can Earthquake Iron Crown. Neither of these Pokemon really hit it hard at all. So yeah, I mean, Chople is obviously nice for Focus Blast in a world where Iron Crown gets carried away. Let's say I pop Policy and now we're staring down like +2 Focus Blast, or at CN as I go Tinglu and now I gotta take, and Earthquake is a one-shot, so now I gotta take 2 +1 Focus Blast. Chople makes that a lot more livable. So yeah, other than that, fairly simple set. Earthquake, Throat Chop, Ruination, Spikes. Spikes is a nice move on Switch. I expect him to swap out. If he did swap it on Tinglu, it'd almost certainly be an Ogerpon, in which case I'm either spiking or I'm clicking Ruination, most likely. But Earthquake hits the Blaziken. That's another thing. If I'm Chople and like let's say it's Blaziken versus Tinglu, I mean I'm gonna live that hit. I think I would live it naturally anyway, but not with a lot of health. But I can eat that, KO back, Throat Chop after Aura Sphere will hit Latios. A boosted Focus Blast. I'll live 1 or even 2 of those versus Iron Crown, hit it back hard. So yeah, the attack here, I think Earthquake. What's this calc? I can't remember. I think Earthquake might 2-KO like a neutral Blaziken. Actually, of all the types that I expect Blaziken to be, Teambuilder actually has a super good hit on all of them. So this might be for Earthquake or Throat Chop to just kill Blaziken always. That might be what this is. I don't totally remember. Actually, no, this is Iron Crown. I think this always 2-KOs Iron Crown. And when I say I think it is, it's this or this. What I'm actually saying is my EVs cover all of these. I'm just wondering which one is the defining one. That like, I don't remember which calc I lose if I'm 64 instead of 68. I know that it covers all of when I list all of the things it could be, it does cover all of them. I know that. I just don't know which one's the defining calc for this exact number. That's what I don't remember. 16240. I don't remember what. Again, don't remember. But this is Iron Crown calcs. This is for Focus Blast. I remember that much. And then this was actually the remainder. This is defense. It's not actually specific for anything. It's just that, like, really, you know, this is actually all I need to do all the things that I want Teambuilder to do. Oh, Earthquake. This 68 might be a 2-KO EV like Quillfish too. It might be. It might include that. Next we have the Enamorous T. This is actually a weird option to pick to check Blaziken, but I was like, there are certain like policy Blazikens that can be kind of weird against Azumarill and G-King, and that was really what I was worried about. And like compare that to an Enamorous, which the reason I ended up choosing Enamorous is that all I'm really needing out of checking Blaziken is just being like an HP trade, basically. So something that's gonna like live Flare Blitz, either a +1 or +2, and then hit back hard or even KO back. That's really all that we need. Whereas there are weird sets that, like, let's say it's Azumarill versus the Ghost Blaziken, and my move is Knock, and it's EV to live Knock and pop policy and blow me up, and now it's +2, +1, or +2, +2, and now we're like in a really weird spot. This is actually even more likely for the Slowking. If let's say he's this is what I was saying before. Let's say he's a Steel policy, I Flamethrower, it does, you know, 60, he's +2, +1, or +2, +2. You know, hits me really hard, kills me, and now I'm in like huge trouble because now my Annihilate does now speed either. These sorts of things, I really just want to attack. The thing with Steel, Blaziken, like, I guess everything I just said, you would think like, okay, well, if Steel is among the types that you're worried about and Electric is among the types you're worried about, why would you pick Enamorous? I have Wakan to deal with the Electric problem. I'd obviously Earth Power that. But when it comes to Steel, the thing with Steel is if you look at my team, it is quite literally not possible to SD on any of these if you're Steel. You will just straight up, even Bronzong, you will just straight up die if you have to take an Earthquake and then attack with Flare Blitz into Helmet. You will literally die. Like, it's just not workable to SD on this. Not because you couldn't, in theory, get away with an SD. Like not that you couldn't SD and technically live an Earthquake, but your Blaziken's dead. Like, you've been traded for a Bronzong. This is not good. Kyurem, you will outright die. Annihilate, you will Super Giga Mega die. Tinglu, you will Turbo die. So that's why I'm like less worried about Steel. Not that he couldn't be Steel, but in terms of Enamorous T being chosen to check Blaziken, I think that in the case of Steel, it only ever has to live a +0 Steel, never a +2 Steel, is I guess what I'm saying. Whereas like this is less true for Wakan, which literally can SD on, really the main thing is Thundurus in particular. But yeah, that's why I chose Enamorous. I think it's less of a, it can be lured or tricked. I don't want to say tricked because that invokes the move. I can be lured or deceived less by choosing Enamorous. Enamorous in strict terms is like maybe technically less effective than Slowking G or Azumarill, but I really just need to trade for HP. That's really all that I have to do. So that's why I chose this. Moonblast, Earth Power, Moonblast 2 KOs, Blaziken always. Earth Power, I think with this spread, is a 3 KO on Quillfish. This is another Iron Defense is rationalized similar on a similar basis as Bronzong. If the right like 1 or 2 Pokemon are down, in this case it's really just if the Iron Crown is down, Iron Defense is actually really hard to take down for his team. So Moonblast, Earth Power, I think 2 KOs, everything that's not like explicitly fat. Like basically not Suicune, not Quillfish, but with Draining Kiss and an Iron Defense, I can actually out-heal some of those Pokemon. Originally, I was a very physically defensive set for Blaziken. Like, obviously, that's kind of intuitive. But when I was doing calcs, if it's Namorous versus Blaziken, I actually don't need a lot of health. If the goal was just to trade HP, if I just Draining Kiss first, I avoid 2 KO with just this investment. So that's kind of ideal. So that way I can run more special attack to guarantee an Earth Power KO or guarantee a Moonblast 2 KO on Ghost or Electric or I think I said earlier, like guarantee a 3 KO on Quillfish. This speed is to outspeed a slow or Saluna. If he does run more speed, now speeds me, I guess it is what it is. But because that Pokemon Speed F is so bad, then Moonblast is actually gonna do a lot. So that's the rationale here. The reason, like the other logic of Enamorous like doesn't work if I don't have Wakan though. So that's why I think I was Helmet at one point, because then like the recoil and the helmet like piles up. But I decided like really I should just be Wakan because I can get the damage. I can get the same or even more damage on Blaziken by not being Helmet if I'm able to live and attack. You know what I mean? So that's the explanation for the Enamorous. And then last we have the Thundurus. Thundurus' offensive matchup is really good. It doesn't hit Blaziken super effectively other than like Psychic, but I think Psychic is like really bad as a coverage selection in this matchup, especially for a Pokemon that's almost starting in Tera. But it has a super effective move to hit literally everything. Diancie probably less so. No, it has Flash Cam for Diancie. So yeah, Quillfish, it doesn't. So not Quillfish, but everything else. Latios, Ogerpon, Ursaluna, Iron Crown, Suicune, Tornadus, it has a super effective move for all of it. So this thing is really strong. It also, with Nasty Plot, it doesn't even need a lot of special attack to get a 1-shot or 2-shot on all these Pokemon. So I've chosen to be the speed to outspeed max speed Adamant Ogerpon because these 110s, when they're max speed, they outspeed Kyurem. Like that's the only speed tier they need to worry about. So I expect that they're not going to... I don't think they're going to literally sacrifice Adamant just to do a weird speed creep that they don't know if it'll even work. So that's why I feel comfortable just being 320. Plus 2 special attack with 56. This 2 KOs, or actually at plus 2 it OHKOs Ogerpon. It OHKOs the Ursaluna, 2 KOs Crown, 2 KOs Quillfish, OHKOs Suicune. All of that. I believe it 2 KOs Max HP Diancie, but not Speed F Diancie. But I mean, if Diancie comes, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. This bulk, the main reason I chose an HP, like a PhysDef kind of orientation, is in part because I had the EVs to do so, but also if I'm not plus 0, if I don't get a plot opportunity, being able to live 2 Cudgels from Ogerpon is one. It's going to allow me to guarantee to a KO because Sludge Wave 2 KOs. So if I don't want a Nasty Plot right away, then I don't have to. But it also affords me a free Nasty Plot, pretty much guaranteed. In which case I will outspeed and Sludge Wave and kill. The same is true for Ursaluna, which unless the thing with Ursaluna is if it's Guts, then I just kill it in most cases. Like Grass Knot alone does like 75, I think, to like Guts. But I do expect he'll be AV, or I guess Rindo is possible. I think if he's going to be Ridisperia, he'll be Yachi. So as far as Thundurus is concerned, the calc is really about AV, I think. But if he's AV with this with this investment, like I always live, whatever normal move. I think the strongest, or I was gonna say Body Slam, but Return doesn't exist, so I guess Double Edge or like whatever. The point is it's not important exactly. Just the strong normal move, whatever it is in your mind. I'm gonna live one, pop Citrus Berry, get the free plot, OHKO with Grass Knot. That's pretty much always how it plays out versus Ursaluna. when I'm able to EV this way. But yeah, this is another set that like it does not many dominoes need to fall for this to win. It's really the Blaziken. The Blaziken's ability to get a speed boost is really the only thing keeping this from not smoking. So I think yeah, with this team, like I have a lot of ways to win. I think the Iron Defense guys like they're pretty obscure but technically possible. Whereas Kyurem has a very viable path to winning off lead, like very viable. Scarf CC, you don't need a lot of dominoes to fall for this, you just win. And the same is true for Thundurus. So I think I have a lot of win paths. I think defensively I'm very reliable. Of course, funny enough, I spent all the time talking about how the combination of Azu and G King is like difficult for Blaziken to get around. I end up benching both because of the way, really an assessment of like the way I think he might try to check Blaziken in light of that fact, and then also that I really just need damage. It's really like Blaziken is so frail. It's really just about damage, and not letting the game like get away. So this was a way more thorough like team builder matchup type thing than the other ones have been, but it is what it is. Sometimes I just ramble. I don't know what to tell you. So with that in mind, we're gonna go ahead and get to the game. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Ghost, Blaziken, Poison, Suicune. Okay, so Ghost wasn't totally out of the question. We know Blaziken and Suicune are here. Ghost, Poison. Okay, who did not come? There's no Latios? Okay. Yeah, I think my team in general is like pretty hostile to Latios, but the specific prep that I brought is kind of I wouldn't say it's like bad against Latios, but I've dedicated Tinglu to Crown pretty heavily. There's no Diancie. That was one I was kind of banking on because I mean I could beat it anyway, but I was playing mostly like without regard for rocks because this is the only rocker he's got. Everything else. So the Quillfish came. So I guess the Suicune is what I didn't necessarily expect, but fortunately, there's nothing here that changed in terms of like my expectations that's going to affect that I'm Kyurem lead. Not that I expected that it would. So this is Crown, Ursaluna, Quillfish, and okay, that's the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Alright, let's pull the calc up. Good luck, or no, good future. Let's have a good game, Aimel. Alright, so we gotta kind of be on our toes because he likes to bring some weird stuff. Okay, this is lead Blaziken. How much does this do to me? If he's just like CC, he actually doesn't kill me with anything unless he's. Oh, that's if he's not item boosting. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna go straight to Enamorous. If he was lead item boosting, then that would have been pretty threatening. I don't think he is, for the record. Well, he could be E-Belt. I don't know. I think just as a matter of personality, I underrate the potential for like Life Orb is really what I'm trying to say. I go straight to Enam. We're gonna see what he goes for. I expect like a CC. Goes for Protect. Okay. So that obviously failed. He gets the speed boost. I feel inclined to just Earth Power. Because I think it covers everything. I could Moonblast, go straight into the Crown. We'll see what he wants to do. I'm just gonna go ahead and Earth Power. We'll see if we can make him Tera here. I honestly, he's Tera Ghost though, so I don't know if he even. Okay, so he swaps. I'm gonna write Protect here. Yeah, I kind of gotta like recalibrate my mind, if that makes sense, because I expected Electric, as I talked about in the team builder, but if he's not even a type that's like really gonna beat that's really going to hit hard offensively. Like, he didn't run a type that's going to circumvent Azu. He probably goes to circumvent G-King. When it comes to Enamorous, he's not going to Tera into a move that's going to hit Enamorous hard. And he just showed that he's, like, not Edge. Or at least that was my assumption. Goes into Suicune, and the Earth Power did nothing. I should have been...
Why do I think that was AV? Was that AV? Earth Power? Yeah, that was AV. Okay, now I'm gonna think about what I'm gonna go into. I think I kind of want to go back to Kyurem. Because really, like, Kyurem's kind of like the guy that you get in early, and you kind of just try and like drop some bodies, you know. I don't have a long-term plan that's going to involve like Kyurem coming in like several times. Goes for the waterfall. Okay, that's fine. So he's physical AV. Now I gotta think. I mean, what does Kyurem even? What does Suicune even get? Suicune. Okay. So for moves, like, it gets Iron Head. It does get the Iron Head. I don't even know if that does that much to me though. I think I'm just gonna speed boost. I think if he's, so he stays in. He's AV and he's physical. I wonder if I feel like he should Iron Head. Like that's probably what he did, right? So he goes for the Iron Head. We'll see how much this does. Okay, that didn't do anything. So we kind of are positioned mostly how we want it to be. So now we're +1 speed. This next Iron Head is not going to kill us at all, and our Freeze Dry doesn't drop him either. But our Freeze Dry doesn't drop him either, but he doesn't Chaos back, so we're gonna win this exchange. And he really doesn't have a great switch. He's kind of in trouble now that I look at it. He's kind of in trouble. So I gotta write down a bit. Okay, that did a lot as expected. We'll see if he's Coat. Okay, just Iron Heads again. That didn't do that much. So he is AV, Iron Head, Waterfall. I mean, this guy might die, honestly. Is he? Should I assume that? I think I'm just gonna Freeze Dry. Could he pivot? He could. Earth Power. Freeze Dry. If Earth Power did that much, then it should be 26. Surely this kills. There's no way this doesn't kill. Okay, so we get a nice big kill on Suicune early, and our Kyurem is set up. That isn't how I drew it up at all. I expected him to lead Ogerpon or lead the Quillfish. So this is actually not at all how I expected to get set up, but we end up mostly in the same spot anyway. So he's kind of in a predicament here. I think the only thing that's gonna really live one is like if he's AV Crown. Okay, he goes into Blaziken. So I'm pretty fast. I'm +1. So let me think here. So he didn't Tera that, so he's liable to Tera this. I could Earth Power, aggressively Earth Power. How much would that do to Blaziken? Basically, like, what we're discussing here is roughly a 50-50 on Tera. Earth Power. Okay, so Freeze Dry never doesn't kill Ghost either way. So my play is to always Earth Power. Okay, so he goes for Protect. If he goes, well, I wouldn't say it never kills, but it's a roll, and I also have no information on his spread. But it seems like Earth Power is guaranteed damage, and Freeze Dry, yeah, even if I got, yeah. Looks like even if I got Freeze Dry right, it would not be the play. So we're just gonna Earth Power. He should Tera, I would think. If he doesn't Tera, then I might just win. I literally might just win. Okay, he does Tera. So, well, I don't know why I had to highlight that. The other Tera guy had died. So I think if he's no, so he's a roll to live if he's no, even if he's no bulk, he can live this. So, actually, if he's no bulk, he does. Yeah, he always lived that. So he goes for low kick. Okay, so we have Protect and low kick, and our Kyurem goes down. This thing is pretty low, which is nice. So I guess we just go back to Enamorous. Does my Earth Power? This thing is really low. Does my Earth Power? Enamorous Therian. My Earth Power does. So if he's no bulk, actually, is that no bulk? The rolls don't look that much different. If he's no bulk, that the max is 92, it's like 78, 92. If he's like roughly max HP, it's like 60, 78. So I actually don't know which roll I got on that, but it looks like Earth Power kills regardless, is what it looks like. The other thing, the reason why you Earth Power anyway is because if he actually can't 2-hit KO me with anything. So if he Flare Blitzes, like that's gonna get me the damage that I need, basically. He goes for Tera Blast, so this guy's super dead. This is gonna do nothing, I don't think. It's gonna do anything. What is mildly regrettable is that yeah, okay, good thing I killed. What is mildly regrettable is that my item, what was this Blaziken? So it's Protect, Tera Blast, Low Kick, and he didn't click, so he didn't have a strong move than Tera Blast. So he didn't click Flare Blitz, and he didn't click Stone Edge. We can only assume he has neither. Okay, that was it SD? Maybe it was SD. That would make sense. But I guess what's regrettable, not that it matters now, because Blaziken's down. I guess Namorous did his job either way. But I was thinking like, oh, I was Wakan because specifically Electric Blaziken was the only one. It was the main one that I expected. And also like the only set that my team, or the only set that my team would otherwise be vulnerable for. So I have a useless item, but I mean Blaziken's down, so I guess what difference does it make? Goes into the Ogre Pawn. It's kind of unfortunate that Kyurem died to this. Ogre Pawn, Ogre Pawn, Ogre Pawn. Let's see. Why can't there's like every when you type in Ogre Pawn, like all of them show up. So I'm pretty defensive. If he's, what am I at? I am at 245 divided by 351. Oh, okay. If he's max attack adamant, I still always live. So I'm just gonna Moonblast. The Enamorous did its job. So it's whatever. I didn't do anything. I did one. So I will drop to the next one. But that didn't do anything. If I had Draining Kissed, I might have get me out of range. I would have got a little more damage, I guess, if that happened. Fish. You know, a big thing about this Blaziken, because one thing I was thinking about is that if Blaziken's Ghost, I had thought about this when building, but not. I kind of slipped my mind here. Let's see. I could swap. I could actually keep this. Do I even want to do that? I don't think I even want to do that. I think I want to let this die and then go and then rip some hole with Thundurus. Is that what's complicated about having Ursaluna and the Ghost Blaziken is that I'm Scarf Annihilate and locking. I want to lock CC as soon as possible. But he actually gave me that. He gave me that opportunity. So the only thing to watch out for is, I guess, the potential for Chopple or Ursaluna. But that guy takes a lot regardless. So I do outspeed almost everything. So I kind of want to. I think I could just Sludge Wave. Do I want to do that though? Because Sludge Wave, if he's adamant, if he's max tag adamant, well, he's not. So he has some bulk. He has some bulk. If he's like max HP, it's a roll not to kill. So I should just plot. He swaps. Okay, who does he swap into? Who does he swap into? Hard Ursaluna. Okay, well, even if this is AV, even if this is AV, even if this is, yeah, I don't, so if the only way, no, yeah, he loses in every scenario, I think. If this is AV, this still, if he's AV, it's a roll to kill, possibly, but he never KOs me back. If he's Boots, or if he's Guts, he's going to protect to get the burn, but then he's not AV and he dies. So I'm just going to get a kill here. There's no scenario where he doesn't just drop. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's no scenario where he doesn't just drop. Yeah, that Ursaluna does not work in this scenario. I'm super fat Thundy. Okay, Iron Crown is here. This game is going really well. So this is booster. Booster special attack. So this will do a little more. Let me think. I can eat from this though. I am faster. I'm just gonna Thunderbolt. I'm just gonna attack until I drop. Okay, that did a million. So he goes for Psyshock. We should eat this and get some berry. Okay, cool. Yeah, this game literally might be over. This game literally might be over. So now he's gonna drop here. Yeah, because Quillfish isn't gonna move unless he's literally max attack Gunk Shot. That's the only way this game isn't over, I think. Goes for Quill. All right, we're gonna see if he max attacks Gunk Shot, then it doesn't. Then it doesn't stop literally right here. Otherwise, I don't think he kills me with anything. Okay, that did half or over half. Poison Jab. Does this kill? No, that didn't do anything. And no poison. Okay, yeah, I think this is GG. All right, we won. Whoa. This was a huge turnaround. Because last week had left me with a bad taste in my mouth. And okay. This game ended up being a lot simpler than I drew it up, honestly. But yeah, and we outspeed this guy, so we just Sludge Wave that, and it'll be over. All right, well that was quick. We are back on the board. Okay. I think the biggest surprise is the Blaziken, probably. I think, yeah, I would say Blaziken. I probably would have brought a different Blaziken that would have made that more difficult. Because like even all things considered, I had like the Scarf Annihilate in the bag that also would have just killed roughly everything. So yeah, so that puts us, I think it was a 4-0. So we're now back to 3-1. We're back on top of the board. It was really good to have that bounce back win. Oh, you probably could gather from from the video last week, but I was very upset last week. So I really wanted to get this win. Glad we were able to get it in convincing fashion. Well, that was the halfway point of the season. So halfway through, we're looking pretty good when it comes to playoffs. I don't remember who I play next week. I think I have an idea, but I don't want to say it and then be wrong because that'd be weird. So yeah, I kind of don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I'll see you later.